Alan Rickman as Severus Snape is one of the greatest performances in the history of blockbuster cinema. That is not an opinion. That is a fact. So why do I think Paapa Essiedu will be better? Not more beloved, not more iconic. Better for the role as Rowling actually wrote it? And I know that sentence is going to make half of you want to close this video right now. Stay. Because the argument I am about to make has nothing to do with diversity. Nothing to do with casting politics. It has to do with one specific number J.K. Rowling put in the books that the Warner Brothers films quietly ignored for 25 years. A number that changes everything about how Snape should be played. And once you hear it, you will never be able to watch Rickman's performance the same way again. We are going to go through 5 reasons. The number comes first. The number is 35. That is how old Severus Snape is in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone by J.K. Rowling. 35 years old. When Harry Potter walks into potions class for the first time, and Snape locks eyes with him across the room, he is looking at a man who is barely a decade older than the students he is teaching, a man whose wounds are not old. They are still open. Alan Rickman was 55 when he filmed that scene in 2001. 20 years older than the character Rowling wrote. That gap is not a criticism of Alan Rickman, it is a description of what was lost. Rickman's Snape had the gravitas of age, the controlled composure of someone who had processed his damage and built walls around it over decades, the voice that arrived in a room before the man did, the stillness that communicated danger without moving a muscle. That is a masterclass in restraint. That performance changed what people thought a supporting character could be. But it is not who Snape is in the books. In the books, Snape is barely holding it together. He is a man in his mid-30s who has spent 15 years carrying a secret that could get him killed, grieving a woman who chose someone else, hating a boy who looks exactly like the man who humiliated him in school, and doing all of this while teaching 11-year-olds to brew potions. He does not have the luxury of dignity. He has the burden of surviving one more day without anyone seeing what is underneath. That is not a role for gravitas. That is a role for damage. Paapa Essiedu is 35 years old in 2026, the exact age of Severus Snape in Book 1. He does not have to perform youth. He is living it in real time. Rickman gave us Snape as he might look at 60. Composed, deliberate, terrifying in the way that old wounds are terrifying because they have hardened into something permanent. Essiedu will give us Snape at 35. Raw, barely contained, still close enough to the boy who was bullied in a Hogwarts corridor to feel every single thing that cost him. That is reason 1, and it is the foundation everything else is built on. But the age argument alone does not make a performance. So let me tell you about the 2 roles Paapa Essiedu has already played that prove he already knows exactly who Severus Snape is. In 2016, Paapa Essiedu played Hamlet for the Royal Shakespeare Company at 25 years old. The judges who reviewed that performance used these exact words. An audience that listened completely still. Sweet and playful and flirtatious 1 minute. Fiercely intelligent the next. Like all great actors, he made every line his own. That is not a compliment about technique, that is a description of an actor who can hold 2 completely different people inside the same body at the same time and move between them without warning. That is Severus Snape. The same year, Essiedu played Edmund in King Lear for the same company. Edmund is the illegitimate son. The man the world decided was worth less before he could speak. The reviews described his performance as conveying a chilling contempt and cynicism. A man who despises the world that made him because the world made him wrong. Read those 2 descriptions again. Sweet and playful 1 minute, fiercely intelligent the next. Chilling contempt. A man who despises the world that made him. Now open Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince by J.K. Rowling to any Snape chapter. Tell me those 2 descriptions do not fit the same person. Snape is not a villain with a redemption arc. He is a Shakespearean figure trapped inside a children's story. A man who was broken early, chose the wrong side, lost the one person who might have saved him, and spent the rest of his life paying for it in the only currency he had. He is Edmund. He is Hamlet. He is both simultaneously. Paapa Essiedu has spent his entire career playing exactly that kind of person. Only a small fraction of people watching this have subscribed to Potter Files. If you want every video we make breaking down what the HBO series is getting right and what it is risking, subscribe now. We go deeper into the wizarding world than anyone else. The next video in this series is going to show you a character the films never fully showed you at all. Now here is the argument that almost nobody is making. In I May Destroy You, the television series written by Michaela Coel, Essiedu plays a man named Kwame, a man dealing with something that happened to him that he cannot process and cannot name. He presents one version of himself to his friends, another to strangers, and a third to himself alone at 2 in the morning. You are never sure which one is the real one. You are not sure he knows either. That performance earned him an Emmy nomination. But what matters for this conversation is not the award. It is what the performance proves he can do. Watch Kwame, and then go to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling. Chapter 33. The Prince's Tale. The chapter where we finally see everything Snape was hiding across 6 books. The moment Harry looks into a dying man's memories and discovers that every cruel word, every cold look, every act of apparent betrayal was a layer of protection over something so tender that Snape could never once let anyone see it. He died looking into Harry's eyes, the only part of Lily he could still see. That scene requires an actor who can show you nothing for 7 seasons and then show you everything at once. Who can make an audience understand, in a single sequence, that the most unlikable person in the story was also the most heartbroken? Rickman was handed that scene in his final film after playing Snape for a decade. He delivered it with the grace of a man who had been quietly building toward it since 2001. It was extraordinary, but it was also the ending of a performance that never had the beginning it needed. Because here is what the Warner Brothers films never showed us. Young Snape. Frightened Snape. Snape who has not yet built the walls. Snape at 35 trying to hold everything together in front of children who cannot know what he is doing or why. Steve Kloves, who wrote 7 of the 8 original Warner Brothers screenplays, trimmed Snape to what worked with a 55-year-old Alan Rickman. The result was a more composed Snape than Rowling wrote. More elegant, more of a tragic hero and less of a damaged human being. The damage is the point. HBO is not making 8 films. They are making a series with a 10-year commitment. Each season, 1 book. 8 full seasons to build the most complicated character Rowling ever created. From the moment he walks into a classroom at 35, until the moment he dies on the boathouse floor in his early 50s. Paapa Essiedu will be 35 when he films the first scene. He will be in his early 40s by the time he films the last one. He does not have to play the ending before he gets there. He gets to live it in real time. Not from a position of wisdom and restraint, from a position of damage and survival and the particular kind of cruelty that only comes from someone who learned to use contempt as a shield before he was old enough to know what kindness felt like. That is the 5th reason, and it is the most important one. Rickman gave us the performance we will always remember. Essiedu has the chance to give us the character we never quite had. The one who exists in the books. The one Rowling spent 7 years building. The one who is not magnificent, who is not composed, who is a 35-year-old man trying not to fall apart in front of the son of the woman he loved and the man he hated. That is who Snape is. That is who HBO has cast. The question is not whether Paapa Essiedu can do it. The question is whether we are ready to let go of a performance we love long enough to meet the character underneath it. The HBO Harry Potter series premieres Christmas Day 2026. Showrunner Francesca Gardner, the Emmy Award-winning writer from Succession. Director Mark Mylod, who directed Succession and Game of Thrones. Producer David Heyman, who produced all 8 original Warner Brothers films. Executive producer J.K. Rowling with full creative oversight. Paapa Essiedu, the Emmy-nominated actor and first black actor to play Hamlet for the Royal Shakespeare Company in 2016, plays Severus Snape. He received death threats for taking this role. He was subjected to sustained racist abuse from the day the casting was announced. He said publicly that he hoped he would be okay. They chose a man who knows what it costs to be treated as less than what you are, to play a character defined entirely by that same experience.